live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
I am Jarrett, the football genius Burgess.
I am Stephanie Fitzpatrick, aka the Advantage Coach.
This is episode 152 of the Filter Real podcast, and your eyes don't deceive you. We are sitting right next to each other. Why am I on headline?
Oh, we are in the screen next to each other. Yes.
Thanks to the magic of television and,
yes.
and the virtual
technology,
world.
right?
Yeah, we are beside each other.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. This is so awesome. It makes me feel like we're really close. Like that's
right.
Good. Like, yeah.
It makes me feel like the old days when we were sitting in the library in the what did they call that? It
music
was a studio.
Room. Yeah, their
music room studio.
Mm-hmm.
And we were recording out of that. Shout out to Northwest Library.
Yeah.
Right there on Hollywood Road.
Yes. Yeah.
But Steph, let's get started.
Let's go.
We got this who's really right.
We got a little bit to talk about this week.
Yeah, we got a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so this who's really right. I'm gonna dive right in because I know this is your team and I know this hurts you a little bit. Just a little bit. Calvin Ridley was out last year, and he took a little bit of personal time during the season. And during some of that time, the NFL had investigated that he had bet on games. Now, I believe it says that he didn't bet on any of his team's games. He just bet on some NFL games, which you aren't supposed to do. You aren't supposed to bet on your sport. Now, he would have been totally in bounds if he had a bet on in the NBA, if he had a bet on the NHL or the MLB. Yeah. Because he bet on the NFL, he is receiving a years-long suspension. Do you think Calvin Ridley deserves a year-long suspension for betting on the NFL?
So I'm going to say this. I think as I'm trying to find the right way to say it, as athletes, there is a mindset that rules don't apply.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we have that mindset, we get caught. And there are consequences.
Yeah.
So in this situation, while I don't agree with a year, I think it's a little harsh.
Yeah.
I do agree with there has to be some consequences for your actions. Mm-hmm. There is a policy that states that you can't bet on the NFL because you play. And it is no different than I don't know how many of you all have ever entered a sweepstakes or entered some contest. I have done HGTV, the smart home or the dream home type thing several times because they were nice. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions they ask is, do you work for the company or do you have a relative that works for the company? Mm-hmm. And they do that because there is a policy against those people being able to, you couldn't participate if you said yes, basically. Okay. What it boils down to. So, but there's a policy for that reason.
True. There
was a policy that NFL has, whether we agree with it or not. Because I'm like, if it ain't my game, what does it matter? But neither here nor there. Because you're going to talk about the reason why this shouldn't even be happening. But either way, I feel like the rule is the rule. Mm-hmm. And you can't feel entitled to walk outside of the rules and not think there are consequences.
Okay.
We all take chances. You get in your car, you drive above the speed limit, you're taking a chance. You're going against the rule, right? But there's a consequence if you get caught.
Right. So I'm gonna be a bit extreme.
Not
but then
surprised.
I'm gonna rein it back in, right?
Okay.
There used to be laws that if a slave escaped,
You went all the way.
if a slave escaped, then then they could be tried, and a lot of the times like they could be executed. And
absolutely, they were lynched, killed, beat to death. Yep.
Right. So sometimes rules just aren't right, and they just aren't. And so what that didn't stop was from the slaves from trying to escape.
Right. This is really extreme.
I know, really extreme. I'm gonna rein it back in a second.
Okay.
And so when I look at this, and I wanted to use the extreme part first, and even if that doesn't work for you all, I think some of the stuff I'm about to say now might. So right now there are men still in jail for selling marijuana.
Correct.
Marijuana is currently legal
in a lot of places. Yes.
In a lot of places. But the federal government's like, go get high.
Go get high. Okay.
And so I think my focus is on how rules are archaic and unjust. And so I don't think he should have been suspended at all. Now, should there be a rule that players don't bet on their teams? 100%, because we know that there's a possibility that they can affect the outcomes.
Right.
And the unfortunate part about this coming out about Calvin Ridley is that somebody put a mashup of some videos of him and some plays that were kind of questionable, trying to say that he could have possibly been tanking the throwing games. Point shade. But I certainly don't believe that, but it does leave room, for that interpretation. Now, betting has been made legal, not in every state.
This the part,
but
right?
Across the country.
Same way.
So I believe that he should be allowed to bet, and in fairness, he is allowed to bet on other sports.
Right.
But I still think that if he doesn't bet on his team, that he should be allowed to bet on sports. And so, because this rule is archaic, then I don't think that he should have to pay that penalty. Just like I don't think that the people who are still in jail for marijuana possession and should be, because the laws are legal, even though not every state has legalized marijuana use. The federal government says that you should be able to get high. And so I just think, I think that a lot of the way that they do business in the NFL is archaic, and, it's unjust. So whether, the rule is the rule and they should have to abide by it, just like in the NFL now, like folks used to get suspended for marijuana. Now they started working with folk, and I'm saying, like, don't be so late to these parties, right? Like, it took the NFL a while to say, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't have based our whole policy on marijuana on reefer madness. Maybe we should have, done our own research, just like we should have done on CTE a long time ago.
Right.
That's neither here nor there.
Right.
My point is, I don't think that he should be suspended at all for betting on football.
Okay. All right. Well, I think about Pete Rose. I mean, he
Okay.
got a lifetime suspension, so that's a little extreme.
Mhm.
But he was betting on his team, so
He was betting on his team, and
Yeah.
so his point is what I was trying to make. I know went everywhere. I went with slavery and marijuana and all that. I
Yeah.
apologize, guys. That's just the way my
No.
mind works.
Yeah, no.
Like I take the little pieces
no,
here
no,
and run
no.
all around. But his situation is kind of what I was speaking to when I said that people are still in jail for marijuana possessions, even though marijuana is legal now.
Right.
And so for him, Pete Rose, I'm a Pete Rose guy. I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, I don't feel like the ban of baseball, like you can't erase what he did in baseball just by saying, oh, he bet on games. So,
I just want to know how you can, I mean, I don't know. It just is weird to me. I think
he wasn't throwing games. He was just betting on his team.
I know. And that's what I was trying to get. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess, is where is the evidence of the correlation between betting on games, even if it's your team, and you cheating?
So there are instances. There are instances like in NCAA basketball and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the whole Tim Donaghy scandal, some years back. But if that's the case, then don't legalize betting.
Right, because they're still human beings. I think that's the part right there. Like, it's almost like when you play a sport, especially at the professional level, it feels very much so like institutionalizing you to the point that you don't get to, and when I say that, I mean like prison almost, that they take away your rights for certain, like your voice, like you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, like it feels very much so like that to me. But I'm on the side, I'm and let me just be clear, I do not think that Calvin Ridley should be suspended for a year.
Right.
I do not. I feel like it should be some games, if anything. Yeah. Just because, again, I want athletes to get out of the mindset. I agree with you wholeheartedly that this needs to be addressed and changed, because betting is now something that's legal. People do it every day, all day. So why is it they're people too, right? So, and if there needs to be an amendment to the policy that just says what we just talked about, you don't bet on your own games, then that needs to be where you leave it, right?
Right.
But I am on the side of saying some consequence for this from him, only because I want these athletes, and I'll say this, I'm gonna just say what I'm really thinking. I want these African-American men who play sport to understand that at the end of the day and at the core of it all, you are still a Black man.
You're not above the law.
You're not above the law. Well, we know you're not above the law as a Black man, but you, as an athlete, I need you to understand that that does not excuse your melanin.
Yeah.
And that the things that you do are going to render consequences. And so being smart about what you do and don't do as an athlete, I feel like, so I work in healthcare, let's just say that, right? I work in healthcare. So there are some expectations of how I will conduct myself even outside of my job, because it reflects on my company. So I know I can't get on my, I don't know, social media talking crazy like I'm gonna go shoot up. So, I can't do that. And so I recognize that I'm not entitled to that freedom of speech that somebody else might have. And so I just want them to be smarter about, like, if you don't agree with the fact that you can't bet, then speak on it. Put it out there. Go to the NFLPA or somebody and say, listen, this isn't fair. What are we doing to fix this? Versus I'm gonna just do what I do and hope I don't get caught. But that's the mentality that we grow up with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I do and hope I don't get caught.
Hope I don't get caught.
But we can't do that.
We talked about that. We talked about this. Like, I'm gonna just do what I do and hope not to get caught is kind of one of the bullets of an impoverished mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I don't want us to, you all make millions of dollars. Don't have an impoverished mindset. Don't have a prosperity, like I can be feudal with, again, like that too doesn't work.
Right.
So I just, that's for me why I'm taking the stance I am. I don't agree with the time frame. I feel like it's a little excessive. This is the first thing he's ever done. And, he's young. And to his point, he said it was $1,500.
$11 million for $1,500. The worst odds ever.
So, like, are we really gonna punish him we're gonna take a whole year's salary and possibly, like, it might be difficult for him coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So you just and it just brings me back again. This is why I say it's our melanin, because and I know this is two different things. I know that was this is the NFL and that was the Olympic Committee. But that whole thing with that young lady, that skater, we don't want to ruin her career. We don't want her to be, that mindset is not given to you because you don't look like she does. Anyway, I can go on. I will stop now. So I just say, we gotta do better. We want to see the rules change. We got to do something the right way to get it changed, not try to achieve it and be like, well, how can I work around this? Like, no.
I think this Who's Really Right, we've come to kind of some common ground, we've come to some common ground about it because I definitely see your perspective on it. And I think we both in agreement that he shouldn't be suspended for a year.
No. Some games. But heck, you give people who smoke and do performance enhancement stuff less time than a year.
You give people who deflate balls and hit women less than.
Come
on. I digress.
No. Or no time at all when you rape them. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Anyway,
so, who's really right? If you think that he doesn't deserve any time at all, then you agree with me. And if you think that, he deserves some games or the whole season, then
you don't agree with me if you think
right, not the whole season.
It's just your own opinion. Like,
right. So in that vein, let us know who's really right, whether you think that he deserves no games, some, or the full season, or maybe like Pete Rose, a lifetime ban.
Oh my God, Lord Jesus. Okay. That's a Calvin Ridley hater that'd say that.
Okay? Put the cameras on me. 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 Put the cameras on me.